We can hear you, Will.
I'm going to mute myself in case I have odd background people.
Are we live, Christina?
You are now live, yes.
Okay, great. Welcome, everyone. I'd like to call the September 8th Parks and Community Services Commission meeting, September 8th, 2021 to order. Number 2, roll call.
Thank you. The procedures adopted for this meeting meet or exceed standards set forth in Governor Gavin Newsom's Order N-29-20, which allows public meetings like this one to be held by teleconference to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. At this time, it would be appropriate to conduct roll call and afterwards to confirm certain matters for the record. Commissioner Dorlick.
You're muted.
You could hear me before. I didn't mute myself. Here.
Commissioner Keniston Lee.
Here.
Commissioner Mitra.
Here.
Commissioner Lopez Lucy. Commissioner Ellicott Pesic.
Present.
Student Commissioner Thamala.
Present.
Present, thank you. Vice Chair Roberts.
Here.
And Chair Oslin.
Here.
Thank you. And I would like to verify that all members of the committee can hear me well. All members of the committee have been able to hear all previous speakers, including the roll call. And each committee member believes, based on facial or voice recognition or otherwise, that all persons representing themselves to be a committee member are, in fact, committee members. If all 3 statements are true, please indicate by raising your hand. Thank you. And finally, as a reminder, any votes taken during this meeting must be taken by roll call. Thank you.
Item number 3, Pledge of Allegiance. Recording Secretary Christie, would you mind leading us in that?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 4, special announcements. We will start with 4.1, Temporary Employee of the Month for July. And we will hear a presentation by Andrew Mendez, our Recreation Coordinator.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So this evening we're going to be presenting.
Andrew, I don't see Mallory in the audience.
Oh, I don't know if we want to maybe move to the next one and come back to her. Maybe she's having difficulty logging on. I can try to contact her right now also.
Okay, let's go on. Let's move on to the next one and we'll come back.
Okay, great. Thank you, Andrew. 4.2, Temporary Employee of the Month for August, Aiden Salas. And this will be presented by Andrew Hubbard, Recreation Supervisor.
Good evening, commissioners. Thank you for having us. It's my pleasure to introduce and congratulate Aiden Sales for being selected as the August Temporary Employee of the Month. Aiden has worked for the city of San Ramon since May of 2021. So this was his first summer serving as a lifeguard for the Parks and Community Services Department in the Aquatics Division. Throughout the summer, Aiden consistently brought a positive outlook to the pools, lifting up his fellow lifeguards with that positive attitude. He was a staple at the San Ramon Olympic Pool for the night recreation swim program, ensuring to help the safety of the swimmers in the water. When he wasn't on the lifeguard stand, the lead staff always could rely on Aiden to take action immediately when asked to complete any task that we needed to be completed at the pool. Aiden's strong connections to the pools is what started him off as a lifeguard and a lifeguard in San Ramon. During the summer, he swims for the San Ramon Aquacats, and throughout the school year, he plays both water polo and also swims for the Doherty Valley High School, where he is currently a sophomore this year. We're very glad to have Aiden continue to work at the pools throughout the fall, where he'll continue to learn the operation, improve his skills, and make a positive impact and set the example for the rest of the aquatic staff. So again, I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate and thank Aiden for all of his hard work this past summer, and keep up the good work. We certainly appreciate it.
Thank you, Aiden. I just want to also thank you for sharing your positive attitude and uplifting those that are around you. Your spirit has not gone unnoticed. And Andrew, as Andrew said, we look forward to having you working with the aquatic staff in the fall. Would you like to say a few words?
Yes, please, actually. I'd just like to thank you for the opportunity, because over summer, it's just been great. I've loved the community. I love the people that I've been working with all summer. And I'm still going to continue working off season for the pools. So thank you.
Great. We're really, really proud to have you as part of our team, and that you will continue your service with the aquatics group. Would anyone else like to add anything else to Aiden? Congratulations again, and good luck during the school year.
Thank you, Aiden, and thank you, commissioners.
Thanks, Andrew. So Andrew Mendez, did Mallory end up coming into the audience?
Unfortunately, it sounds like she's not going to be able to make it this evening, but I'd still like to recognize her if that's all right.
Sure.
So Mallory Martinez, she's one of our employees during the summer. The City of San Ramon Parks and Community Services Department would like to congratulate Mallory Martinez for being chosen as the July Temporary Employee of the Month. Mallory began working for the department as a Recreation Leader 1 just this summer, but has made a huge impact on the summer camp programs. However, Mallory is no stranger to the department. Before this summer, Mallory was a leader in training, volunteering at summer camps, both in summer 2020 and in summer 2019. Mallory is a San Ramon resident and attends high school at California High School, where she'll be entering her junior 11th grade year. Mallory is a very creative young person, and in her free time, she enjoys creating art and singing. Her artistic abilities are a great asset to camp, and it's clear to see that she enjoys sharing her skills with the youth in the San Ramon community. Mallory is being recognized tonight for how she made Adventure Club, the city's in-house summer camp program, such a memorable experience for campers. All summer, her camp was filled with laughter, storytelling, and smiles. One key element Mallory brought to camp was her creativity and passion to keep campers engaged. In July, Mallory did something that became a camp favorite for the rest of the summer. She created an in-person version of the popular app video game Among Us. Mallory created hand-drawn cards for campers and then taught staff how to play and lead the game that she created. It was an instant hit and just another example of how impactful it is to have Mallory on our camp team. Thank you, Mallory, for being such a great recreation leader, an important asset to the department.
Thank you, Andrew. I'm sorry, Mallory, that you can't be here, but I wanted to make sure that you know that we commissioners really, truly admire your creativity and your passion to make camp fun. And so we want to encourage you to continue being that, bring that spirit forward. So thank you so much, and good luck this school year. Thank you again. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, commissioners. Have a good evening.
You too.
Hey, Rosalind,
Yes.
can I add that I think it's really exciting when we hear that our leaders in training program leads to folks that are employed at the city, that leads to them being here more than one summer. Because I think that is a comment not only on the quality of young people that we have in our community, but also the fact that staff must be creating a very positive employment environment for them to want to come back. So I just want to say I didn't lose that point. I heard the leader in training thing, and I think that's really great.
Awesome. Thank you so much for bringing that up to Commissioner Kinnison-Lee. I think that is spot on. And that's what we want to see more of, is the continuity of our student leaders growing within the community. So thank you. And thank you again, Andrew. Okay, moving on to 4.3, special announcements. Kathy?
We do have a few things I wanted to announce, in fact, several dates, really what I have to talk about today. So as we've moved through all the different stages of the pandemic, we are now at the stage where we have lots and lots of events that are being presented and put on, not just by the city, but by our foundations and also private entities. So for example, we have our very first rental event for a free concert in the amphitheater this Friday night. It's from 5 to 7. They're not anticipating a giant crowd. I think it's more of a DJ, sing with the DJ kind of a style music. But if you're around and you want to come check it out, so that's a rental event. Of course, we've got our own Open Space Advisory Committee on 9/11 doing one of their open space hikes coming up on Friday, September 17th. We've got the Senior Resource Fair. They put that onto a weekday this year. It'll be from 12:30 to 4. So if you're around on that Friday, please stop by. The Senior Foundation is kicked back up and we're bringing back the big ones here, bingo, on September 25th. So always fun to play that. The Historic Foundation, Carol's not here this evening. However, the Oktoberfest is coming up as a fundraiser for them on October 2nd. I think you all received maybe an email with their postcard. So much appreciated by Carol if you could forward that out to your networks to try and encourage people, because of course all the funds go to support our historic property. It's not our event, but the Ed Foundation does their Run for Education. So although it's a virtual run this year, they are doing their Wellness Expo on October 9th and 10th. We have another big rental, Durga Puja, also on that same weekend of October 8th through 10 here at the community center. And then I had to, of course, include culture in the community to make sure you all have that on your calendars coming up on October 17th. So that's really just a month worth of things going on, and it's a lot. So if anybody needs that repeated, I'm happy to email it all out. Excuse me. There's also a general plan community workshop tomorrow at 7 o'clock. That's via Zoom. Encourage everyone to attend that if you're available. We've got a special commission meeting that we've added on October 22nd. That'll be at 7, and that's specifically for all of you to discuss the general plan elements that relate specifically to parks and community services. Excuse me. Also on that day, we've got the facilities committee meeting at 4 o'clock. And then finally, and probably the funnest thing I have to announce, is that the Scarecrow scavenger hunt is being developed again, and we're going to need a couple of judges to help out with that on October 22nd from 3 to 4. So again, if you're available and interested, we'll send an email out and see who might want to help with that this year. That's it.
Great.
Okay, sorry,
Wow.
when is that one, the judging thing?
She said October 22nd.
Yes, October 22nd from 3 to 4. We can't have everyone because we would need to agendize it and post it, but I do need a couple people that might be willing to help with that. So we'll send out an email and see who might be interested.
Great. Thank you, Kathy. Would you mind maybe recapping in a quick email to all of us, because there were quite a few dates of activities that we need to be aware of. So
Absolutely. I'll be happy to copy and paste this and send it out to you all.
thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to 5, public comment or written communication. And before we do that, I want to welcome our student commissioner, Thanamala. Welcome to our meeting. We missed you at the very beginning. So good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
That you could make it. Okay, item 5, public comment or written communication. I believe I read this. At this time, those in the audience are encouraged to address the Parks and Community Services Commission on any item not already included in tonight's agenda. Members of the public who are participating via Zoom will have the opportunity to make comments to the Parks and Community Services Commission live through the Zoom application. Comments should not exceed 3 minutes. Also, comments from the public under public comment may also be submitted by email to Christy Tillman, our recording secretary. No commission action can be taken at this meeting on issues raised during the public comment, whether submitted by email or Zoom. Reading the public comment emails into the record by the recording secretary will also be limited to a duration of 3 minutes each. Do we have any written public comment?
I do not have written public comment, but I do have someone in the audience with their hand raised.
Okay,
We will let them in. So what I'm going to do
Okay.
first is bring up our timer, and then I will bring up the speaker.
would they please introduce themselves as well?
Yes. Hello, speaker. When you come on, please give your full name and your city.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You're ready to go.
Okay, so I just want to thank you all for serving on this committee because park and open space is a very important essence of our city. Without this, it's like our city has no soul. I just came from the EDAC committee where one of the committee member wants us to completely build out so more people can have more houses. I just think that, you know, if we're stressing on equity, then maybe every person should just buy one house. Why open up to a lot of people who have the money to buy up 10, 15, 20 houses because they can and, you know, force everyone to build out. So again, I am public commenting to thank you for your service. Thank you.
Please provide your name.
I am Helen of Doherty Valley.
Great, thank you so much.
Do we have any other public comment?
No, we do not.
Thank you, Helen, for your information and for your feedback. We will now move on to item 6, approval of the minutes. 6.1, our regular meeting of July 14th, 2021. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes? Any changes, edits, updates? Gonna take that as a no.
I move to approve the minutes as stated in the record.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Mitra. We have a first by Commissioner Dorlick and a second by Commissioner Mitra.
Great, and we will just take roll call. Commissioner Dorlick,
Yes.
Commissioner Keniston Lee,
Aye.
Commissioner Mitra,
Yes.
Commissioner Ellicott Pesic,
Yes.
Vice Chair Roberts,
Aye.
and Chair Oslin.
Aye.
Thank you.
Could I bring up a point of order?
Yes.
Since we're,
Commissioner Dorlick.
regarding public comment, don't we need full names and addresses?
When we are in person, yes, we typically do. They fill out their card and they give their full name and addresses, yes.
Yes, and wouldn't we follow the same protocol if it's a call-in or a Zoom meeting?
We
should-
don't, and we have not done that, and neither has the city council at this point in time. So in this forum, it's acceptable.
Just to be anonymous?
During-
Okay, just wanted to have a point of order. Thank you.
Good question though.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. Item 7 point, consent calendar. Do we have any items for the consent calendar?
No, we do not.
Moving on to item 8, commission business. 8.1, tennis court reservation pilot program. We're going to hear a presentation by Mike Finelli, the recreation supervisor. Hi, Mike. You
Good
have the
evening.
floor.
Thank you very much. Good evening, City of San Ramon Parks and Community Services Commissioners. Christy Tillman's going to be kind enough to share a PowerPoint that's going to summarize the staff report on follow-up of our tennis court pilot program. So we wanted to revisit some of the statistics and review how the success of the program has evolved since we initiated on April 1st. And I'll just thank you, Christy. So to recap, the staff introduced a 6-month pilot program and we opened up on April 1st, 2021. And this featured the no-fee online tennis reservations, which were exclusive for San Ramon residents. In addition to opening up the no fee reservation system, we introduced a mobile application titled Quartz. And that is a free crowdsourcing application, which has the ability to report real-time court activity. For the pilot program and the reservations, we introduced Central Park and Rancho San Ramon Park as the pilot locations. And during the months of April through the end of September, we provided opportunities for no fee reservations Monday through Friday between 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. and again, 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. These were all in 1 hour increments. Some statistics on the program at Central Park. These are through August 20th. Central Park totaled 325 San Ramon resident reservations. Rancho San Ramon Park totaled 520 San Ramon resident reservations. And the one statistic we were able to obtain from our application developers from Quartz is that there were 362 first-time downloads. So that was associated with our courts specifically due to maybe some of the advertising, social media pushes, and also the signage that we posted up at the courts.
Next slide.
Forward. Thank you, Christy. So in attempting to engage with the residents and measure success, staff observed the courts at both locations daily. We identified these locations primarily because staff would have access Monday through Friday. Again, Central Park and Rancho San Ramon Park. What we asked is that staff would just kind of engage with the users and gather as much feedback as possible in regards to how the reservation system was working online, how the access to the courts was obtained, and also any other information that the community was willing to share. What we determined was that the reservation system was working excellent for the folks online. And in addition, they did request an expansion of the reservation program, and additionally, an expansion to include hours on the weekends, because we typically didn't have that for the pilot program, primarily because we were focusing on hours where we could monitor that Monday through Friday. So to gain additional information at other city facilities aside from Central Park and Rancho San Ramon Park, staff observed tennis facilities collecting information on peak hour usage, city programming versus public drop-in play, average wait times, most frequently used facilities, and adherence to posted court rules and rotation signage. The courts observed were Athens Downs, Central Park, Rancho San Ramon, California High School, and Dirty Valley High School. And we observed from the hours of 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. during a 2-week initiative, July 19th through July 30th. In performing the observation, we had staff complete a survey in 30-minute increments. And what we had them collect data on was the number of courts that were currently used for city programming, the number of courts that were accessible for public use, the number of people that were waiting in line to access courts and play, description of what matches were taking place and types of use. Were they competitive? Were they recreational? And also, were the players rotating on and off the courts per the posted rules and regulations? So in evaluating all the data, we determined that Athens Downs and Dirty Valley High School were our most preferred location, most volume, highest crowds, and also confirmed that at both of these locations, we observed long wait times for public drop-in play. So the facility reservation staff and our tennis programming staff collaborated on ideas and ways to increase public access at these specific locations. We're going to continue to meet quarterly with the facility staff and the program staff to kind of coincide with the recreation guide schedule and see what uses would be advantageous to increase access and also maintain programming levels. So the collaboration, we're hoping, happens quarterly so we can continue to evaluate if trends change in terms of specific court access or court needs. In working with the developers of the Quartz app, although we were only able to really get information on the first time downloads, We continue to work with the developers, and we're trying to request enhancements that will evaluate information besides how many people actually downloaded the app. Specifically, we're trying to measure the success of the app, which we define as when the app is used from a remote location and they arrive at a court and it's actually a success and they're able to get on the court. So some sort of a check and balance that the app was successful and they were able to play. We also noticed that their activity logs listed on the application do not refresh daily. So if one specific location was not utilized for a few days, the activity log would still show the court history from that past dated date, which we feel may not be advantageous to the public because the impression may be that it's not refreshing properly or it may not be accurate. So those were two enhancements that we're working with the courts developers on to try to continue to use the no fee app, because at this point it seems to be an advantage for our residents to at least have another tool accessible to try to access the courts without physically driving down and observing. So in summary, our staff recommendation is to remove the pilot label from our program and to expand the tennis reservation program to additional facilities and also add weekend reservation time slots. We were requesting to approve new locations at Athens Downs and Doherty Valley High School. And we were looking at weekend reservation hours, adding 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. These are the same hours that we had for the Monday through Friday reservations that currently exist at Central Park and Rancho Santa Ramon Park. In looking at some fiscal impact to the program, there's no additional anticipated staffing fees for continuing the expansion of the no fee private reservation program, and of course for utilization of the Quartz application, which is a free public app. The expansion of the reservation program would require additional signage posted at all the courts. We would want to remove the language that refers to the program as a pilot program, and we'd also want to introduce the new locations. The cost estimate for the signage update at all of the facilities would be approximately $780. In addition, the staff evaluated the potential loss in revenue as a result of reduction of city programming at Doherty Valley High School, Athens Downs, and Rancho Santa Ramon tennis facilities. Staff is estimating a decrease in the amount of $7,488, and this is largely associated to the reduction of programming at Athens Downs and Doherty Valley High School, and at Rancho Santa Ramon Park on the weekends specifically. And what we were trying to accomplish is to just provide additional court space for Santa Ramon residents to have drop-in reservations. And that's the summary. So at this point, I just kind of wanted to open up some questions if there were any related to either the staff report or the PowerPoint presentation.
Thank you, Mike. Great presentation.
Thank you.
I'd like to open the first round of questions that can be focused more on clarifying questions for Mike. And then I'd like to open it up to public comment. We'll close the public comment and then we can have a discussion, more in-depth discussion. So I see two hands raised. Commissioner Mitra, are these clarifying questions that you have for Mike?
Yeah. Hi, Mike. Great presentation. And I think that is a great pilot program on that. I was not initially aware of that, but when I'm going through the report, I thought it was a very good program on that. Just a couple of things, probably it was discussed before, but I was not part of this committee, so I didn't know that. What was the total final goal for this program? Like, I mean, we have the pilot program, we are expanding it. Are we following through and keep on expanding it later, or this is what we want to do? Just two courts, all the two places to venue and the two courts.
Good question. Thank you. The initial goal was to we were during the pandemic, we saw a major uptick in tennis activity due to the obvious separation that the sport, requires. So we've received a lot of inquiries, a lot of questions about how more access can be obtained. So our initial goal in rolling out the pilot program was to provide that opportunity to the residents. Being that we've observed this program being as successful as it was, we wanted to kind of expand that opportunity to our residents at this point. Although I don't anticipate on, expanding above and beyond where we're currently at, I want to stress that it's our mission to continue to quarterly look at this on a quarterly basis with our program staff and look for areas and specific locations where we can open up opportunities for the public to have a specific court reserved. So I don't think we don't really have an end goal other than continuing to evaluate it, continuing to maintain, communication with the community, engage, and always have the opportunity to explain to them that, yes, you do have an opportunity to get out on the courts, and this is how you can do that using the no fee reservation system.
Okay. And if I may have a follow-up question, Chair.
Absolutely.
So one thing is I just caught my eye about the revenue losses for the department. Now it's a very good program. I think we should do that. And we just have a plan to expand it. That means the revenue losses will be further more and more going forward as we try to expand it. Or do we have a thought about, okay, how do we mitigate that revenue loss in the future? Or is it in the process?
Yeah, that's something that we're going to continue to look at. And I don't think that continuing to decrease the revenue is the mission of the program. The main goal is to continue to have successful programming and also have courts accessible for the residents. So at this point in time, this is the first quarter that we're trying to expand. And we provided the fiscal impact on that. Our goal is to kind of lessen that and see if we can open up other locations basically that are not as popular as Doherty Valley High School or Athens Downs and introduce city programming at those locations.
Okay, thank you. Great program.
Thank you.
Clarifying questions. I'm going to go to Commissioner Keniston Lee. Yes, sorry.
Thank you, Chair Osa. Okay, so Mike, first of all, great job implementing the pilot, so executing that. So that's awesome. I was curious how, I know that the reason we chose the pilot locations is because there was a built-in staff monitoring component, right? People could kind of keep an eye on things at Central Park and Rancho. If we expand to Doherty Valley High and Athens Downs, I noticed in the staff report, you talked about implementing a quarterly analysis and scheduling timeline to coincide with the recreational guide schedule. Is that what's intended to help us monitor what's going on? And the second clarifying question that sort of piggybacks is, what are your plans for reevaluating the expansion and seeing if that was the right step?
Yeah, thank you. Good question. We're now that we're kind of have our temp staff back in play, and we had the opportunity to use some of these temp staff to perform the 2-week analysis, and they're familiar with the courts. It's our intention to still have staff out there engaging specifically at these new locations, not only during the weekdays, but also on the weekends. So we still monitor and maintain that feedback. Some of the folks that when the pilot program initiated had questions and some concerns, and the numbers provided on the contract that they received are our staffs, and we were able to actually go out there real time and meet with them and engage, and we hope that process continues as well. But we were very pleased that there was not a whole lot of episodes or situations where somebody arrived at a court with our facility use permit and were denied access. So we're feeling that the opportunity for the public to get on the court is going to outweigh any potential conflicts that may happen when they do arrive and maybe don't have the court available at that specific time. But again, there's measures in place to allow them to communicate with us real time and send somebody out there to kind of assist with that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Dorlick, clarifying questions.
Yes, thank you. So looking at the app, I see we have 7 locations now, 7 court locations that are available.
There's actually 8 locations.
There are 8. 2, 4, 6. Oh, okay. Oh, I see 7. Maybe there's another one I'm missing. Does the app support any kind of in-app purchases that could offset the decrease in revenue? Or is there any thought to that where you're looking at high impact access to courts that might actually incur a cost during, times that are, highly contested as far as court times go?
That's something that we can address with the app developer, but I think the spirit and the intent of the app was to provide something to the public that would just be more of an asset or a resource, not something that they can pay and get additional services at this point. Again, we're trying to evaluate best uses of it beyond just who's downloading the app, because download is not really giving us an idea of how useful the app is. So certainly something that we can discuss with the app developers as we continue to look at the enhancements that I discussed earlier.
Okay, so the drop in revenue is because we're dropping reservations and doing basically drop in.
Yeah,
timing.
the drop in revenue is specifically associated to relieving some of the courts that were currently under city programming and open them courts up for the pilot or for the reservation program. Our intention is to look at opportunities in each quarter to expand the city programming to new courts that maybe are not as frequently used, so we can continue to offer the reservations at the predominant locations and not lose a significant amount of revenue. But again, this is the first quarter, so that's kind of our mission moving forward.
Okay. So, I mean, are there other opportunities you're looking at to make up that revenue and that are perhaps tied to those other courts or to, as I said, kind of the high impact times?
Mike, I might jump in here and help you out a little bit. I think
Sure.
I think that the thing, this is because we had a very small window of time that we were looking at. And so we had a lot of tennis court classes, courses being offered on the Doherty Valley courts, very popular courts. So we don't know at this point, if we shift all those classes down to Central Park, if all those people who were taking them in the Doherty Valley because it was close to their home will move down to a different court. So we won't know that until we shift to some of these lesser used courts. So staff is being fairly conservative and saying that we know this is the revenue we had on these courts. We're going to put it somewhere else. This is what we could anticipate as the worst outcome on that. But that's why they want to evaluate it quarterly so that they shift. And so, okay, that court didn't work. The people are really wanting it up here, surveying, talking to the participants. Then they can figure out and adjust to try and see if we can get a balance where we have more usage by the community to reserve courts and bring the tennis classes back up. But it's a puzzle.
So we've done observational data gathering, but haven't had any feedback from the app users as to their feedback, how the app is working or, facilitating the reservations. I mean, is there any feedback from the developers as far as, surveying users, or are we just doing observational data gathering?
We're doing both. Majority of the people that we've engaged with are the folks that actually have the permit in the hand that we've issued via our recreation software. So they're really not using the application because they're going with a reservation. So that's why it's kind of hard. I wanted to ask and challenge the app users to kind of define a level of success on the app so we could actually have that information.
Right. It's relatively new, so.
Yeah, and they're
haven't had that opportunity yet.
Yeah, and they're freshmen in college, and they rolled this program out as seniors at Doherty Valley High School. So it's a little challenging to get their full attention at all times, but it's something that they're passionate about, and we continuously engage, and it's more of a work in progress.
Sure, I see there are other cities that are on the app, including Dublin and Pleasanton. Have we had conversations with them about how the efficacy of the app or their experience with it? I also see San Jose's on it, and I'm sure they have a lot more usage than, for example, Dublin, Pleasant, and San Ramon.
Sure. Yeah, our city has not engaged with the other cities, although we've asked the developers if they're hearing similar feedback from what we've kind of observed as how the app would be more successful, or at least more measurable, and similar feedback has been brought forward to them.
Okay, any plans to talk or have kind of a roundtable with the 3 other cities and the
I think
app?
it's certainly a great suggestion, and we'll definitely make note of that.
Okay, super. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Yep.
Are there any other clarifying questions before we move to public comment? I don't see any hands raised. Christy, I believe we have someone in the audience that has a hand
We
raised.
do, and I will allow that speaker to come in.
And please introduce yourself, and you have 3 minutes.
Hi, this is Helen of Doherty Valley. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I want to address first, before I start commenting on this item, one of the commissioner said that I, didn't give my address and everything. I just want to say that I'm from Taiwan. So for me to public give out my personal information, I would be personally and physically be in danger. So I would kindly ask the commissioner to please be kind and allow me to continue to participate in public meeting this way for the safety of my life, property, and the safety of my family's life and property. Thank you. So after hearing your presentation, I have a few requests. Number 1, please make sure that the residents have the priority. I fail to understand if you guys are opening up our facility to non-residents. I hope not. If you do, I hope you will put our residents' interest first and foremost. Secondly, I'm concerned about the traffic flow that this app might bring in. So I would highly suggest that you please link the reservation with parking allowance to control public traffic flow around the school area, which is very busy on weekends. Usually there are still a lot of activities. Please be kindly mindful of that. Also, I'm wondering if you would consider charging fees if you're allowing non-residents. I really didn't quite get that specifics about who you're opening up as the users or the potential users of these facilities. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Do we have anyone else in the audience, Christy, that wishes to speak?
No, we do not.
Then we'll close the public comment, and we'll move now to commissioner feedback, and followed by a motion. I see Commissioner Roberts' hand is raised.
Yeah, I just for clarification, based on the public comment just now, actually, it just made me think I might just ask this question. So, Mike, based on that comment, isn't this application really seen as something that could sort of control crowds versus something that is going to create more of that type of activity?
The intention of the application is to allow the end user to see what's happening on a court. It's basically saves you the opportunity from having to drive there and physically see it, but how it's contingent on folks that are actually at the location reporting real-time access. So if the community is not engaging in using the application right, the application is not going to be successful. It's a free tool. The intent and the spirit was to get the word out, get the passionate players that appreciate the way the app would work and the advantage to using it, and generate some momentum from there.
Got it. Well, yeah, Kathy, thanks for clarifying the revenue question. I think that's what sort of stood out to me the most when I was reviewing this information. And Mike, great seeing you. thanks for the fantastic presentation. I'm really excited actually to see the implementation of technology in this manner. Pilots are not easy. Pilots aren't always successful. So congratulations actually for being able to see this pilot through. I think it's a win for the community. Now more than ever, I think we can benefit from technology that can sort of manage the facilities and programs, and you said it. You said it the best, Mike, which is increase public access right now, and I think that's so important. So I only hope we can see more applications being piloted in the future, maybe stemming from this type of application. And I just hope that we're in the future talking about more of these kinds of pilot projects, because this is the kind of technology that is very exciting for this city and for making and improving, the lives of our community members. So thank you. Thanks, Mike.
I appreciate the feedback. I also wanted to let you know the reservations, the 520 at Rancho and the 300 and some odd, I believe 360 over at Central Park, those were all done electronically as well online. So it's just really been the way we set up the system to work online, and people can actually book from their cell phones. Didn't require staff time to assist with reservations. All the protocols and things are printed out independently of staff time. So to roll out almost 800 or 900 reservations successfully without having to physically do that on the phone or take paper applications or do anything like that is another great advantage of the community as well.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that.
Thanks.
Great. I saw Student Commissioner Thanamala's hand up, but I don't see it any longer. Have you changed your mind for providing feedback?
Yeah, I just had a clarification question, but I think when Mr. Mike was explaining to Mr. Roberts, I kind of understood. I was asking about how this program was being enforced and if people were respecting the app, like in making sure that reservations were going smoothly, and just seeing like how the community is engaging with it, because I know you said you're not getting much feedback from the app, but you saying that you had around 800 reservations, I think people are responding well to the app and are kind of following through with it. But yeah, go ahead.
Let me clarify. So there's two different pieces to the program. The reservations are done through our recreation software. The app is an additional tool for somebody that's not physically making a reservation, that just wants to drop in and play recreationally, like not knowing what courts might have the best opportunity to get on immediately. So they work independently, but the reservation system is the program. It's our recreational software, Civic Rec, that our department uses to manage reservations and all of our program registrations as well. So that's specific to the 800 reservations.
And so for like using the software for the tennis courts, people are still respecting like the reservation. No one's just showing up and using the courts, correct? Like
anybody can show up really at any given time, but what happens is when they've have the permit in their hand, it's been highly successful for folks that may have been on the court. When somebody arrives with the permit in hand, they've been able to gain access, and that's kind of how we hope the program would work. So we're happy and we're encouraged that the respect is happening on the courts. And I think what's possibly even happening is when folks are being asked to leave the court while somebody has a reservation, they're probably engaging and telling them, how did you get the reservation? How did you make that? That's great. And then they're doing it as well. So that we've observed that happen ourselves as staff out there daily. So it's been pretty exciting.
Thank you for that clarification.
Right, Commissioner Mecha.
I thanks Genevieve for asking that question, because my question is kind of related to that. My question was related to the feedback. So the app doesn't have a feedback option. That's if I understood correctly, right?
That's
in
right.
that case, the direct feedbacks that we're getting is directly communicating with the users. Is that the only way we're getting feedback on that?
That's correct.
did we get any kind of strong or a theme of changes that people are asking for it, or they're pretty happy with that?
They're happy with the app. The only questions that we've engaged with is that they thought at times the app might be malfunctioning or not working, and that was
The refreshing
because,
things you told
and
me.
that was because of the data that was post dated. So my recommendation was to have the app refreshed daily at midnight. So if I were to log on tomorrow, I wouldn't see the court status as of a date back in, last week in August, because to me, that would be something that would deter me from trusting the app, because it would seem that it's either the community's not using it or it's not refreshed properly. I wouldn't trust it. I'd rather log in and see the date and nothing. So then I would know, okay, at least it's refreshed, and that means either everything's accessible or nothing's accessible.
Okay. My truly last question is, most of the public open source software had the issue, because I'm in the software business, is a scaling. So pilot programs work perfect when the scale is small. You have a limited number of users, limited number of hits on the server. It works perfect. It gets choked when you open it up to the broader populations. Right, it's a pretty common problem, and then they start adding server, then they start adding the scaling softwares and all those things. Do we, at this point, have we evaluated that options that at some point, if we go really public, really open it up, is this a software that will take us there, or do we have to at that point we'll say, oh, we got stuck because it's not scaling?
Yeah, thank you. In terms of the software internally, our recreation software, that's open to any end user. So it's just contingent on them having a account with us and jumping in and registering, something they can even do online. So we don't really see that folks are having an issue being blocked out or prevented from making a reservation online using our rec software. Now, I can't speak of the application or how that server's configured, or if that may be an issue on stats being reported or folks having an issue reporting real-time use. But in terms of the registration software where we're doing our private reservations for the residents, that's something that can be accessible 24 hours a day at any time. So, and the other thing about that is, I should mention, we only open it up in 24-hour increments. So we're not able to overload and book out courts, 2-3 weeks down the line. So just able to look at a 24-hour increment. So we kind of scaled it back to where we don't overload.
We don't have that much load there. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Great. Commissioner Dorlick.
There we go. Great. Thank you. Mike, you mentioned that there was some cost savings with the reservation system. I mean, is there any equivalency between the FTE savings and that 7448? I mean, is there, some sort of a weight assigned to that?
There is no fee for the private reservation, so there's no cost. Obviously, it's only available to Santa Rosa residents. So at this point, the revenue loss is associated with the programming that we've removed to enable additional access.
Okay, I thought I heard you mention that they've saved some staff.
I did. I mean, there is staff time savings in terms of completing the reservation for the customer. When we rent our buildings indoors, our fields, our staff is engaging daily, editing reservations, booking reservations. And this program is very independent. It's very self-sufficient, and it doesn't require anything. We have a report sent daily configured. We don't even need to run the report, and it demonstrates the next 24 hours worth of reservations. Okay. It arrives in our inbox at 8 o'clock in the morning. So it's really hands off in terms of staff. So that's what I wanted to point out in terms of the reservation program.
Got it. Okay, great. Thank you.
Commissioner Kennison-Lee.
Yeah, if you please, I'd like to make a motion. Would that be all right?
May I weigh in a little bit?
Of course, of course.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank Mike for this presentation, and I really appreciate having some follow-up. 6 months later to see where we are with this, and also being open to trying this out in other courts. I think this is fantastic. I also really liked what Commissioner Dorlick recommended, that we huddle with the other cities that are using Quartz and kind of find out how it's working for them. Let's huddle with our constituents, as well as I'd like to see perhaps another 6 months to hear how this all played out. So that was the only thing that I was going to add to the discussion. Otherwise, I completely agree with what the other commissioners have put forward and appreciate all their questions. So that's all I have. So Commissioner Kennison-Lee, make a motion.
Okay. Thank you. I move that we receive the staff report summarizing the 6-month tennis court access pilot program findings and continue the use of the Quartz mobile app and expand the no-fee reservations at Athens Downs and Doherty Valley High School tennis facilities during the hours designated by staff.
Second.
We have a motion made by Commissioner Kennison-Lee and a second by Commissioner Ellicott Pesek, correct? Didn't see you. You're down at the bottom.
Hey, we ready to take roll call?
Yes.
Commissioner Dorlick,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennison-Lee,
Aye.
Commissioner Mitra,
Aye.
Commissioner Ellicott Pesek,
Aye.
Vice Chair Roberts,
Aye.
and Chair Oslin.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Thank you very much.
Okay, moving on to commission business 8.2. Upcycle Your Heart Out, our temporary public art project. We're going to receive a presentation by Erica Valentine, Recreation Coordinator. Hi, Erica.
You. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So this evening, we're going to look at the designs that were received for the pilot program of Upcycle Your Heart Out. So that was the name that we ended up with, and that is the temporary public art program that's utilizing the election signs that were donated by previous candidates. So the overall program was approved by the Parks Commission at the June 9th meeting. Following that, we were able to open the call for art. We received 28 designs with a total of 18 artists. So artists were welcome to submit multiple designs for consideration if they would like. I did want to mention our youngest artists that applied were 16, and then I believe our oldest was 84. So it's really great to see such a range, being open to all artists that want to participate, not necessarily requiring that professional, artist credential type of thing. So the Arts Advisory reviewed all of the designs at their August 18th meeting. They reviewed each one. They ended up approving 24 out of the 28 submitted designs. So I'll kind of just go through the overview of what happened in the Arts Advisory meeting, and then you do have all of the artwork attached to review. Again, several of the artists submitted multiple designs for consideration, so we didn't specify a minimum or a maximum on the number that they could submit. So two of the pieces that were approved, so they did get an approval. We just wanted to mention that they did receive longer discussions by the Arts Advisory Committee, just to kind of flag those if the commission wanted to look at those. So that included Risha Jane's second design. It shows a person with the Black Lives Matter mask on. The Arts Advisory Committee did ultimately approve that design. They did think it was okay, and it did get approved by the committee. The other one that they discussed a little bit longer was Gianna Adelot's design. there is depiction of a male without a shirt, and so that warranted some discussion, but they really liked the design and ultimately felt that it would be very easy for that artist to kind of edit it slightly if we just want to be on the safer side with that. Pieces that were not approved, there were 4 pieces not approved. 2 of the artists of those 4 did submit multiple designs. So 2 of those 4 will still get to participate in the program because they submitted more than 1 design. So their other designs did get approved. So the list of those, Risha James, her first design, they preferred the second one. They thought the first one that she submitted was a little dark for the theme, and as well as the kind of masks depiction. We're obviously not done with masks, so there was some of that just with the timing of implementing the program. Grace Lynn, she submitted 5 designs. So the Arts Advisory just kind of looked at which of her 5 received the lowest score and kind of took that one out. They thought 5 was, quite a bit to give to one artist. Armando Royal, his design wasn't approved. They didn't think it had a strong relevancy to the theme. It wasn't as well worked as some of the other ones. And then Shreyasi Bozy, they really liked the front of her design, but the back had some negative themes, and they thought it might be misinterpreted by the viewer, since the goal of the outdoor exhibit is kind of to view it at all sides. So she kind of did like one side being more negative, but obviously if a person is just walking that way on the path, they might not understand the concept. So Risha and Grace had multiple designs. So again, they'll be able to participate. Armando and Shreyasi only submitted the 1 design. So we felt that we wanted to reach back out to those 2 artists to give them the opportunity to resubmit. The reason for that, with just the nature of the program, not having a stipend and being open to artists 16 and older, we wanted to kind of at least give them that opportunity versus just giving a no automatically. So Shreyasi did submit a kind of reworked second side of her design. So in your attachment, you'll see the old back of the design as well as the new one. And then we didn't get another design from the other artist, Armando. So you have all of those many artworks in your attachment, but we do feel like we got a really good response, especially for the pilot. And then as a reminder, the signs will start out in Central Park, and then they'll move to the Doherty Station courtyard area. So it'll be a bit of a kind of moving gallery. So the recommended action for this evening is to approve all the artwork as approved by the Arts Advisory Committee at their last meeting, as well as to take into account that 1 additional design from Shreyasi that was received following the Arts Advisory meeting.
Great, thank you very much, Erica. I'd like to follow the same process, and if anyone has any clarifying questions for Erica, we'll take those now and then open it up to public comment. So I see a couple of hands raised. So Commissioner Dorlick, are these clarifying questions for Erica?
Well, in a sense, I just wanted to also clarify that it was a long conversation and a very detailed conversation within the Arts Advisory Committee. So each artist and each submission by each artist was discussed, reviewed, and as Erica said, even some front versus back designs were scrutinized and discussed. So there was a good deal of conversation, discussion, evaluation that led to the decision. So I wholeheartedly support the findings and the recommendations of the Arts Advisory Committee. Thank you.
Commissioner Micha.
Hi, Erica. So first of all, I was in Art Advisory Committee when you first proposed this proposal. It was quite some time back. So it is, I'm so happy to see that it is actually being implemented actually in the final phase. So thank you and the whole PCS department to follow it through. This is one of the programs that I really liked and wanted to see that. Just have one question. So we have around 24, 25 proposals, right?
Yeah, there were 28 designs
28.
and 24 were approved.
24 were. And if I remember correctly, we collected around 200 plus election signs, right?
Yes, we have.
So are we giving?
We have a lot.
Yeah, we had a lot. We had a lot. Actually, we stopped collecting in many more at some point. So my question is, are we giving multiple to one artist? So same thing will be printed like 4 or 5 times and distributed in different areas. Is that the plan?
So the artist will receive however many signs that they have separate designs that were approved. So it was just up to the artist. So some just submitted one design, so they would just get the one sign to create, but the ones that had multiple designs, they'll get enough to do all of their designs. We do have extras, so the thought was, we can give them, extras just in case they mess up or they, want to kind of figure it out, because it is a interesting material, the plastic. So we're able to kind of give them a few if they, want to kind of rework it.
Okay. So whoever wants more, they can take more.
As much as we have. Yeah, I think the thought was to keep some, for, future rounds, if we do future rounds of the project, but I don't think it will, be an issue to receive more signs, because yeah, at the end we had to, turn people away of giving them because we just couldn't store all of them.
Right. Okay. Thank you for following through. It is a great program.
I have a clarifying question, Erica. Is there plans for some kind of an event, opening event for the locations?
Yeah, we are planning to do a kickoff opening reception. We're kind of we have like an estimated date that the signs will get installed in early mid-October. What we're just kind of waiting to see how it all implements. But we are hoping to do kind of an evening reception where we can invite the artists and kind of kick off the exhibit.
Great, thank you. I don't see any other hands for clarifying questions. I'd like to open it up to public comment. I don't see hands up in our attendees for public comment. So I'll close public comment, and I'd like to open it up for discussion, and Commissioner Kennison-Lee.
Thank you. So I wanted to say to Erica, I think you have the coolest job, because a lot of what you do is very tangible in celebrating art and bringing beauty to our community, whether it's a utility box or now these election signs. I think that's really amazing. So I'm sure that's very satisfying, and we appreciate your role in that. So thank you. And thank you to all of the artists for submitting. You had great response, and that's amazing. And I thought I was so impressed with the quality of the art, like the heart and soul that people put into their art. They didn't just call it in. They really gave it thought, and they, really put time and attention to their artwork. And I love that. And then this is all feel good stuff, but I really want to say thank you to the Arts Advisory Committee, because to Commissioner Dorlick's point, Will, I think you can tell that they really took the time to consider, and it was a very thoughtful process. At least that's how it came across to me. And so I wanted to thank all of the folks who are involved with the Arts Advisory Committee. Hopefully some of them are watching tonight to see the fruition of their work. But you could tell that they put a lot of effort, and we really appreciate that. So yeah, I'm very excited, and let us know when that kickoff date is so some of us can be there to talk to the artists.
Definitely. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Would someone like to make a motion?
If not, I'll be happy to make a motion that we accept the recommendation of the Arts Advisory Committee and staff to move forward with the program.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion made by Commissioner Dorlick and a second by Commissioner Roberts.
We will now take roll call. Commissioner Dorlick.
Aye.
Commissioner Kennison-Lee.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitra.
Aye.
Commissioner Ellicott Pesic.
Aye.
Vice Chair Roberts.
Aye.
and Chair Oslin.
Aye.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Erica. Very
Thank
exciting.
you.
Keep us posted.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
Okay, moving on. 8.3, Parks, Trails, Open Space and Recreation Master Plan, Annual Progress Update. We're going to receive a report by our Director of Parks and Community Services, Kathy Hyman.
Absolutely. So I have an update for you this evening. I'm going to share my screen because I've got a little PowerPoint for you. If I am successful at, there it is. And can you all see that? Beautiful. All right. Well, I'm pleased to be here after a year of our plan, also married to a pandemic. I'm very, very pleased to say that we've actually accomplished quite a bit on the plan. I want to preface this by saying this is a giant all-city team effort. It is not just Parks and Community Services, it's Parks and Community Services, Public Services, Transportation, all of the different departments that have weighed in to accomplish some of the things that are in our plan. So I'm going to just go through some of the highlights. I did not list every single thing that we have accomplished this year, but hopefully it gives you a sense of what's kind of happened. So first of all, to make sure you have a little background, the Parks, Trails, Open Space and Recreation Master Plan was formally adopted by the City Council at their June 23rd, 2020 meeting. And the plan really clarifies the vision of the community for the next 10 years, specifically as it relates to parks and open space. So in the plan itself, I don't know if you remember this page, but I thought it was pertinent to bring it forward. It identifies some of the following top 10 priorities, like that quick look. What are some of the big things that are important to this community? And so that's the shade and seating on the Iron Horse Trail, the paved walking loops, preserving open space, biking and walking path connections, unpaved loop trails, you're seeing a trend, a cricket pitch, another one, the Iron Horse Trail overcrossing, lighted basketball courts, facility renovations, in other words, keeping our facilities fresh and updated, and then focusing on nature-based play equipment and programming. So it further detailed 94 specific recommendations that were supposed to be achieved over the next 10 plus years. The plan divides the recommendations into the ongoing, low, medium, and high priority, and it kind of identifies different timeframes with the 0 to 5 years or 6 to 10, and even some that were 11 to 20, like those far off kind of goals. Staff has gone through all 94 recommendations and provided a brief updates on the progress made during the last year, a little year plus, because with the pandemic, we had the plan basically done, and then it took us a few months before we actually got it adopted. The spreadsheet that you have in your packet is arranged in the same order as the master plan, but truthfully, we can sort that any way we want in the future. I kept it matching this year simply for simplicity of you kind of following along with the actual master plan, so you could see it in that same order. This year is year one of our 10-year plan. However, there really was a good amount of progress despite us dealing with the pandemic throughout. So like I said, I'm going to highlight just some of the key points in each area. So one of the primary themes of our plan is interconnected. So some of the big accomplishments that we did this year, where we completed the first draft of the Walking District Master Plan, and that's coming to the Parks Commission. I think we're doing that next month, so you're going to see that. We've completed the citywide bicycle master plan, installed bicycle infrastructure, which are bike buffered lanes and conflict zones. We've dated the city trails and open space page with an open space corridor map and a protected lands map. We've implemented the final design phase of the Bollinger Canyon Road overcrossing. This is so exciting. This is a big deal. We participated on the CCTA 680 Policy Committee, and we completed an EIR environmental review for the Old Ranch Open Space Trail. So when we look at the conservation and connection to nature, we have a few more things. So we finalized the laborers property agreement with East Bay Regional Parks. We received a presentation from East Bay Regional Parks on regional trail plans and discussed options for joint programming at Crow Canyon Gardens in the future. We received a presentation from Contra Costa County on the Iron Horse Trail active corridor plans. We've continued to offer those great popular guided hikes in open space. We've started replacing some of the older irrigation controllers and converted some turf to drought tolerant shrubs with bubblers. We finalized agreements with Bishop Ranch for public access to the lakes and the future privately owned but publicly accessible parks. Partnered with local biking club to offer lead mountain bike rides for teens and youth in our open space. And we've adopted a vision for Crow Canyon Gardens, as you know, that retains the peaceful atmosphere, serene environment, and emphasis on nature. When we look at the inclusive theme, we've done some other great things, which are implementing a pilot program to provide on-demand rideshare services to seniors. If you remember that, Go San Ramon. We've identified 6 separate walking loops that'll be in the draft walking district master plan. We just got done, or really it's public services, installed sleeves and striping for 9 pickleball courts at the Iron Horse Gym. Very exciting. We've allocated funds in the CIP for the design of a cricket pitch in an existing park, so that project's moving forward. We offered our very first Bollywood concert as a part of our summer concert series. Very well attended. We have new group picnic areas and outdoor ping pong tables that are currently under construction, in part scheduled for completion in summer of 22. And we've offered new fitness, arts, and senior programs. And to continue on the inclusive theme, we've also offered a virtual culture in the community event and a virtual Wind Festival Spirit Week. We've also implemented several apps to engage residents in city parks. That was one of the big goals we had in there. So we have the Outer Spatial Trail app. We use the Goose Chase app for the Scarecrow Scavenger Hunt, the AutoCast app at Forest Home Farm. Agents of Discovery app is part of the Parks Make Life Better summer programs, and of course the Quartz app. We this year hired a part-time rec leader with special needs, which was a great thing for us to be able to do. We have also started collaborating with HR, our Human Resources Department, to prepare for the future hiring of transgender employees. And we removed the men and women placards from restrooms in our small parks and replaced with gender neutral signage. Now, we didn't do that in the big parks because we have separate restrooms, but in those that are the single seaters. When we looked at that final theme of balance, quality, and quantity, we collaborated and shared costs with the San Ramon Valley Unified School District on the renovation of that Iron Horse Gym floor with our new beautiful pickleball courts. We utilized total asset management principles to identify and prioritize CIP projects. We've entered into development agreement for long-term maintenance of privately owned, publicly accessible parks planned for the city center area. We reviewed plans for the developer-built Rancho Phase 2 park, which includes our large bronze eagle art piece. It's still waiting for that eagle to land, as well as interpretive signage adjacent to the bioswale, which is also around one of those beautiful walking loops that will be built. We've completed 6 volunteer cleanup days at Crow Canyon Gardens. And we've also got the lighted basketball courts that are much desired by the community are going to be under construction at Rancho Phase 2 and also at our Sunrise Ridge Park. In addition, we have completed the renovation of the interior amenities at the El Costa Senior and Community Center and the San Ramon Community Center. The new children's play pool equipment, play pool replaster, 15-meter pool replaster, and placement of the cantilever deck on the 15-meter pool has all been completed. We've implemented, as we said tonight, a pilot tennis court reservation system at Central Park and Rancho. We've partnered with the Contra Costa Transit Authority to assist with the delivery of 43,000 meals. That number still astounds me, to San Ramon seniors, and that was really due to that partnership that we were able to achieve that. And we've also completed the repainting of the glass house, the renovation of the meat locker at Forest Home Farms, and the upgraded lighting in the 1850s barn. So that is not a complete list of every single thing that is included on that spreadsheet I gave you, although I tried to catch the majority of the bigger ones to give you a sense of what we have done on the master plan. And then you can also see the how it's sorted. You can see the areas that we're still focused on and moving forward. So this evening, I'm just looking for you to receive the report and then provide feedback to staff in regards to the master plan, what we're doing, and things that you might want us to do quicker, faster, or put as a higher priority.
Great. Thank you, Kathy. It's always so wonderful to be able to step back and see what you've accomplished. So thank you for going through this exercise and sharing this with us. In the spirit of public comment, I'd like to open it up if there is anyone in the audience that has public comment. And then we'll open it up to discussion and feedback for Kathy from the commission.
Great, we do have one for public comment, and we can bring them in, and I will share my screen.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so this is Helen of Doherty Valley. Thanks, Ms. Hyman, for your presentation. I have two items that I would like to address. The first one is more like a comment and a request. In the past, there were a couple of occasions I've had to call the SRPD for help because there's dead deer or animal that lies on the Doherty Valley Road that is between Crow Canyon and Bollinger Canyon. That road curves to the right at about mid-stretch. And I noticed that in the past, there has been young deers that would try to cross from the housing community on the right towards the left, probably to go to that open space on Japonica. On Japonica, there are two open spaces. If you consider the bridge is the center divider. And so what I just mentioned on Doherty Valley Road or Doherty Road connects to that open space on the right of Japonica. And I don't know if you have the capacity, but if you do, would you kindly please make sure these precious animals don't get run over? And also it's very difficult and mentally stressful for the motorists as well. One time, this husband was like trying to go back and forth because the wife like ran over a deer, and from afar I saw, and I was like, what is that black thing? It was soaked in blood. And so even our PD is in danger because they can't see. And when I'm reporting, it's difficult. So if you could please help those animals, it would be greatly appreciated. The other thing, I'm speaking up for our toddlers because I was a stay-at-home mom for a long time. I don't mind gender-neutral bathrooms, but I would be pretty incensed if they're dirty. And I'm wondering if you guys are also following up on how clean or dirty they are. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen of Doherty Valley. Do we have any other public comments?
No, we do not.
Okay, we'll close public comment and we'll open this up now to provide Kathy and staff feedback on her presentation and where we are with our master plan. So Commissioner Mitra, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, I'll be quick. First of all, Kathy, just to get a gist what you guys do over the year, it was just a gist. I know that's what you said. And knowing that your staff, how much you guys do and manage is just mind-boggling. So just to go through that bullet pointed list itself, it's just mind-boggling. So thank you for that. There are two, I just wanted to have comments about two things that you mentioned, and basically I got the feedback, and that's what I want to do that. And these are good feedbacks, by the way. Now, first of all, 43,000 meals that were given to seniors, especially during the COVID, was very well appreciated. I got a lot of feedbacks, a lot of things. People really appreciated the way that meal distribution has happened, and a lot of people would have been a little bit in challenging positions if that were not done very well or not done at all. So that's number one. Thank you, you and your staff and everybody. Other things is the Bollywood concert. My God, that people loved it. This is the first time you guys arranged it. Somebody thought about it and implemented it. That thing had created a lot of buzz in the whole community. And I request you to continue that and probably expand it if possible in the coming years. The final thing that I would like to know, we don't need to discuss this here. Probably if you can just tell me where to go and find it, cricket pitch and cricket park, where can I find the more details of that? I'll really be interested to know more what we have decided, what are the parks that we're doing it, and whatever more details I could get that. I really appreciate that.
I can give you the Reader's Digest condensed version, which is we're still working on locating exactly the right place, right field to flip. Once we decide which field that is, then we'll be going into the design phase. And so we don't have that identified yet, but the next step will, as soon as we get that field figured out where it's going to go, then we'll go into design.
Great. Commissioner Keniston-Lee.
Thank you. So every year we're really spoiled in San Ramon because in all honesty, we have a great Parks and Community Services department and they always do a great job. But what really highlights how lucky we are in this community is how they reacted to COVID, the COVID pandemic. Everything from having camps, which resulted in no, kids getting sick, to one of the highlights for me was them being able to implement the goal of increasing our virtual technology. I mean, COVID certainly tested staff's ability to do that. And at every turn, whether it was outer spatial or whether it was, programming at the farm for kids, online programming, a virtual program, I felt like that was top class. I mean, that was best practices in my book. So I was really impressed with how you guys have been able to not only achieve a lot of our goals, but really embrace and excel with some of them as the COVID situation required. So Kathy and staff, great job on that. I'd love to see us continue to forge those partnerships, whether it's with businesses, community members, other organizations in our community to try and achieve our goals. So I think that's a real key, particularly when you're looking at your financial resources. You've got to leverage what you got. And if you can partner with somebody, you can make those resources go further. So I know you're always looking at those opportunities, Kathy, but let's keep that in mind because money is tight and we want to get the most bang for our buck that benefits our community. I did have a couple of specifics. I was down in the Monterey area and I turned on my phone and it said, would you like to access the city's Wi-Fi? And so that reminded me that I think we want to still be fairly proactive with getting Wi-Fi in our parks. And so I know, Kathy, you've done research on that and maybe you want to update on us on that, but it reminded me, we're sort of in this strange dichotomy of we want to get everybody outside, but we have to be realistic that people like their technology. And so, if it's providing Wi-Fi that gets them outside, but and allows, say, the teens to study outside, that's a good thing. And if we can complement that as we have with nature-based virtual programming that allows people, especially in tough social distancing times, to still get outside, then that's the best of all worlds. But I have another idea, but Kathy, did you want to talk about Wi-Fi?
Yeah, I can just quickly mention, we talked about that with the last park when we were talking about conceptual ideas. And it is something I have researched in the past where there are devices you can place in parks that will provide Wi-Fi, they'll provide power that's solar driven so you can plug in your device. They also track users that, not unique users, but track people that how many phones walked by. So it gives you some data on who's using your park. So definitely something we're exploring and working on.
Yeah. And then another thought is just, I love how we sort of think outside of the box often, and I'd like to challenge us to continue to do that. One of the things I'm excited about is trying to figure out more ways to get people outside. So I'm intrigued by lighting features outside that draw our community together to tour through, say, Central Park. So one of the thoughts I had sort of piggybacking on Dominique Yancey, a very good former Parks Commissioner, she had talked about trees that were sort of decorated by community groups in the city, which of course Kathy and her team implemented to great success in the Rotunda. But I'd like to see those trees somehow get outside and be light up trees and maybe be diverse trees where different cultures, different organizations adopt a tree and use lights to express their joy and their membership in the community. So diverse trees, if you will. It could have some cost to it, but maybe that's where we, have folks sponsor individual trees. So I just like for us to get people outside in creative ways and to continue to think outside of the box. But really great job to the whole staff. Thank you.
Great. Anyone else have feedback to provide before I jump in? I thank you, Kathy. I just love having this. My background in marketing is just always, where have we been and then where are we going to be going? And I think that was one thing that I'd like to see maybe as you build on this for next year is to maybe add the budget. I was toggling back and forth to our plan just to kind of see how much money did we earmark, and maybe kind of do a reflection of where we are in the budget based on what we estimated it to be. Might be helpful and useful as we move forward through this. And I think the only other thing was, you know, I don't know how the strategy is to look ahead for next year and how you're, you know, finding, you know, which of these recommendations and strategies are, you know, people are assigned to, but I'd be interested in kind of seeing kind of like what the forward thinking is for the coming year. But I'm really pleased with this. It's just really great because it gives us a benchmark and it shows us how much we have done. And so kudos to you and to the staff for an amazing year. And we've only had this for 1 year and we've accomplished quite a bit.
Yeah, thank you. The one thing I can say is through our planning process, so there's kind of two prongs to it. So there's the program planning process. Staff are constantly evaluating, and right now they're actually starting to prepare some of the budget proposals and program proposals that we'll see come to fruition next, all the way in the spring, and then become the next fiscal year's programming. So this is the period of time where we're doing some of that exploring and looking at some of the master plan goals and trying to figure out what we can do. So there's that program element. Then on the flip side, there's also the CIP element. And so that CIP process is kind of starting now with what projects do we have still sitting there that are unfunded? What do we need to fund? What is that going to take? And so those will all, you'll see kind of start to fold together as we go through this, you know, like the winter time, and they come together in that budget doc. And so that's really when you see that next piece come forward. But the master plan is our guide. That was what we wanted. We wanted a roadmap that gave us some clear direction for priority. So obviously high priority 0 to 5 year projects should be done first, and lower medium priorities that are later in the timeline should be done later. And that's kind of how we function through using it as a tool.
Right. Thank you, Kathy. Did we give you what you needed, the feedback?
Absolutely. And of course, we'll plan to bring this back again next year. Thank you so much.
Great. So now we'll move forward to 8.4, Arts Advisory Committee recommendation. We have interviews for the Arts Advisory Committee, and we have a recommendation. So Kathy, all yours again.
Yeah, super briefly, you know, the Arts Advisory Committee has 7 members and 2 alternates, each serving a 2-year term. There's currently 1 vacancy, and that's for an alternate with a term that expires in March of 2023. We did the standard, announced the vacancies for the committee, posted on the website, all of that. A subcommittee of the commission interviewed the applicant on Thursday, August 5th, and they recommended that you all, Parks and Community Services, recommend City Council Tiffany Turner to serve in that alternate position on the advisory committee with a term expiring in March of 2023.
So moved.
Yeah, I just want to make one comment. Carol and I, we were involved in the interviewing process for Tiffany. I just want to mention that I think Carol and I both said after the interviews, this was probably one of the hardest interview processes that we've been involved in. They were all fantastic candidates, and we just felt that Tiffany was the best fit at this time. So I think she's going to be a fantastic addition to the committee. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Great, thanks, Commissioner Roberts. And it sounds like we have a motion has been made by Commissioner Dorlick. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Commissioner Dorlick and seconded by Commissioner Roberts.
Great, and we will take roll call. Commissioner Dorlick.
Yes.
Commissioner Keniston Lee.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitra.
Aye.
Commissioner Ellicott Pesic.
Aye.
Vice Chair Roberts.
Aye.
And Chair Oslin.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, 9 staff reports, 9.1 recreation program and community services report. Kathy.
Muted myself there for a second, I apologize. As you can see, we've got a pretty lengthy report, and that's because there was a lot of different things that happened this summer. So there are everything from dive-in movies to summer concerts and our facility rental program. So does anyone have any questions or anything in this report that you would like more clarification on?
Great program run by great team. So good.
Yeah, bravo. I love Cafe Costa too. Cute. Okay, moving on. 9.2 maintenance and operations report.
And I know that there are public services staff available if you do have questions on this report, but in the same vein, there have been a lot of renovations going on, some amazing work that was accomplished. I love the when they do that pre-photo and then the after photo, because you get a real sense of what got accomplished. But there are people here who can answer questions, or I can probably give it a try at it too if you have something that you needed clarity on.
Any questions, clarification, comments? I'm seeing no hands raised. Again, great work. Busy. All right, moving on. Item 10, update on city council reports.
All righty, that's me. So there were two city council meetings I'll report on. One July 27th. Becky, our very own Becky Adams, gave a very heartfelt presentation regarding the proclamation recognizing the County Connection for their role in the senior meal delivery program. And what struck me about that was the fact that she said it was easy as an email and a follow-up call. She said County Connection was just ready to help, never hesitated, and they actually provided 8 to 9 drivers from their organization and dispatch services as well to over the course of 54 weeks to provide the tens of thousands of meals that we've heard about today. So that was wonderful to hear. That's the kind of partnership stuff that I love to hear about. There was the only discussion about returning to in-person meetings at that meeting was to defer the discussion item to 8/24 because they really couldn't make any big changes at that time. And then there was an update on the Measure J Traffic Congestion Relief Agency, also known as Traffics. And so they obviously had very modified, abbreviated service last year toward the end of the year. This year, it sounds like they're back up to speed with 39 routes returning to 11 school sites. So that was great. And then the meeting was adjourned in memory of our former Parks and Community Services Commissioner, Bill Miney. That was very touching. And then followed by closed session with labor negotiations with the San Ramon Police Officers Association. And so basically after those closed sessions, the mayor will come back and say, essentially, we gave staff direction. So that's all we know at that point. So, but those are closed session items. Then we had a city council meeting on August 24th, where they recognized city council members of our summer interns. They made the Housing Advisory Committee appointments. There are three new folks, and I like to mention their names because I think it's neat when we all know who each other is in these various positions. Alan Love, Billy Hurley, and Adarina Bate Chichika. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Great name. This is where they had a more substantive discussion about returning to in-person meetings, as Kathy previously mentioned, with county orders and the fact that that our city is requiring, and Kathy, I know you'll ever correct me if I'm not updated or wrong, but we require our employees to wear masks inside City Hall. So the consensus generally has been with the city council members that until they can, at least this is today, until they can go to meetings without masks in person, they're happy doing the Zoom meetings. There are certain city council members who have, mentioned this might be a long haul scenario. And so that perhaps we need to start taking a look at some hybrid approaches. So I think it's likely that that'll be something that the city looks at. I can't, obviously speak to resolution on that, but I know a lot of folks are sort of really exploring hybrid. So that was interesting. So I think their discussion was that the first possible meeting city council might have in person would be around October 12th. Obviously, it depends on what kinds of orders, health orders exist at the time. And of course, the current arrangement is what city council does, they'll do first, and then the other committees and commissions will follow suit. So we'll see what happens with that. The last few items, a very interesting presentation on the citywide intelligent transportation system, which is essentially installation of a fiber optic network, which will help all of our signals and traffic cameras and all coordinate much better. It's a communication system. It's all part of our smart city goals. So it's kind of very exciting, but it is a good chunky expense. And we'll deal with sort of parts of Bollinger Canyon and Doherty Road. So basically authorization was given the mayor gave authorization to execute an agreement with the vendor. And then finally, there was a presentation on Discover San Ramon, which, as you know, is our sort of tourism and mechanism here. So there was a campaign update. They talked a little bit about positioning San Ramon as a good-natured city and sort of the things that they're planning to do to sort of ramp up. And so if ever you guys want more detail on any of these items, on YouTube, you can, and actually links to the city, you can always, because some of this is just fascinating. So if any of these topics interest you, I encourage you to go look at the recordings where there's more detail. That's it for City Council.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Dorlick, your hand is raised. Do you have something to add about City Council?
Well, just a question. I thought we were moving back to partnering more actively with the rest of the Tri-Valley communities with Visit Tri-Valley. And you mentioned the agenda item regarding a campaign with Discover San Ramon. So do you have a clarification on that?
Well, I'm gonna have Kathy chime in after I say, I did hear that we participated with a very specific Visit Tri-Valley campaign. However, this was an update that was given on the 24th with a marketing company that apparently Discover San Ramon has hired to promote some branding and messaging. However, I am happy to be corrected if I need to be corrected. So Kathy, do you want to chime in?
No, I know we did the San Ramon, purchasing with and the app with the other 4 municipalities, the 10 and the 3 cities. Yeah. But I thought that we had, we were starting to go beyond just that particular campaign and to engage a little bit more fully with Visit Tri-Valley. But that doesn't appear to be what's happening.
I think that might be if commissioners are interested in, a really up-to-date, further than what I've got, a more detailed update on what is happening, because we venture to benefit from folks coming into our community. So I think it would be maybe good to bring our assistant city manager in to give us a more detailed update, if that would be of interest to folks.
Mm-hmm.
Or you just talk to Tracy.
That's exactly what I was going to suggest. I don't know that I have all the detailed information on the ins and outs of the 2 units, but we can certainly schedule it on your agenda for the future.
I think that would be helpful because it's part of community services. And it's a very successful program that benefits the other 4 communities within the Tri-Valley. And I don't see why we would not want to participate in those benefits. So that would be helpful. I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Great. Okay, moving on to item number 11, committee reports. Before we dive into our reports, I was talking with Kathy today about the new liaison assignments. First, I want to thank all of you for going through the exercise and sending Christy information about the areas that you'd like to be involved in. And I want to thank Christy for compiling all of that and sending out the report with the new assignments. But it has also kind of created a few questions about sort of the logistics and the protocol and how we, what our role is as a liaison and as an alternate. And so when Kathy and I were talking, we realized part of some of the confusion is that we've gone Zoom. So in the past, we would go and be in person at a meeting and we would be expected to be there in person. And now we're on Zoom. And so there's a little bit of crossover as far as, does the main liaison attend and the alternate, or, all of that. So we thought we'd just take a few minutes, just sort of take a step back. And my understanding is, and I'm going to look to Kathy to jump in here, is that you have a new assignment. Some are going to be continuing on their original committees, but some have new assignments as a liaison, and some have new assignments as an alternate. So you need to take a look at your assignments. And I would recommend that you touch base with your alternate and liaison with the alternate, so that you both have an agreement that if the liaison cannot attend, that they would reach out to the alternate, and then the alternate would attend on their behalf in their absence. And also to reach out to the staff liaison too, to let them know that you'd like to be included in these communications, and that you've had this conversation with the liaison and the alternates together. Since we didn't meet in August and we got our new assignments, I think we've had a little bit of crossover where some of the last month attended September, but that's all fine because it's great. But the role of the liaison is to attend, and if you can't, get your alternate, but to come to our commission meeting and report out on what was discussed, so that we can cross-pollinate and learn about what's going on within our community and these other committees. So given that, Kathy, do you have anything else to add about this? Have I covered it?
I think you covered it beautifully. It's just important to, if you're not going to make the meeting, let your alternate know, and then let the staff know so they can send you the Zoom link so that you can get into the meeting. And if for some reason it doesn't happen because it's a last minute thing, join the meeting, and the staff person that's there, if they know, they'll promote you in. A lot of them are just, they'll look and they'll go, oh, I should probably promote them. But that's if you can communicate that over, then they'll just pop you in even if you don't have the link. So that's just the key, communication.
And
right.
Chair Oslin, can I piggyback on that a little bit?
Yes.
So if, for example, on city council, if I were not able to attend a city council meeting, I would call Commissioner Ellicott-Pesic and say, can you, be the liaison and attend on my behalf? But if I happen to have attended the meetings and I have notes and I can't report at the city council meeting, I would certainly expect to forward those notes to Commissioner Ellicott-Pesic so that she could report on my behalf, just in case she may not have the time to, in retrospect, watch those meetings. So I think it's a sort of a double responsibility.
Thank you. Yes, I appreciate you bringing that up because that is exactly true. So your partners, you have your liaison and your alternate. So work it out with each other and partner in this.
But Chair Oslin, are you going to talk about the expectations with regard to the committees too, just because we have two relatively new commissioners, that all the folks listed should be in attendance? For example, with the policy and finance, all the folks listed under that should be participating in future scheduled meetings.
I was focusing on our committees and commissions below the line here.
Right.
And
right.
Above the line is the specific commission committees
right.
that we all serve on.
Right.
So that is what Commissioner Keniston Lee is referring to. So we have three committees. We have a policy finance, and we have a chair who is Heidi Keniston Lee for that particular committee, and two serve on it, which is Commissioner Dorlick and Commissioner Ellicott-Pesic. And I won't go through each of these, but we have three specific. Each has a chair. You will receive a packet of information. You will be expected to attend that meeting at the time, or Kathy will or Christy will rearrange when everyone can attend. So, and if you can't get, I believe we can have two attend, and that's still a quorum.
Right. We can rearrange those. You can have two. We can have 3. If we want to pick up another commissioner, then we'll generally email out and see if somebody else would like to attend in your place if you're unable to attend and we have a time constraint. So you'll all receive information on those packets, but you only attend the meetings that you're actually on the committee for.
Right.
Thank you for clarifying. Yes.
And Christy, these are meetings that we only attend if we have something to address. So they're not like every single month. It's only when you let us know there's something coming up, right?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. That's really helpful, Commissioner Rosalind.
Yes, great. And also these committees, above the line, finance, facilities and programs, many of the items that are discussed at these meetings end up coming to the commission. So you will hear about it. So given that, we'd like to get some committee reports, and I'm just gonna start at the top here. Arts Advisory Committee. I believe that's Commissioner Dorlick.
It was on our agenda tonight, which was the major discussion at the past meeting. So other than that, there were some new committee members that were facilitated in their initial meeting. And we already discussed most of what was in that meeting. So no further report.
Thank you. EDAC.
So I wasn't sure if I was on mute or not. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was in place for Carol. And this process, right, going back and forth, this actually happened this time. It was a little bit sort of late notice, so I jumped into this meeting. But I didn't really have anything to report because we had last month off. So, but aside from that, EDAC, they did not have any new business or unfinished business to discuss, but they did have a special presentation from Cindy Yee on the general plan update. So, which really just sort of dove into the housing element. And I mean, and I would say that even though that the economic development piece was updated already a few years ago, I think Cindy was looking for just a little bit of feedback. Like I said, even though it was already updated a few years ago, the economic development piece of it. But really what happened is that there was so much information that she provided. I think that it seemed like it was a little bit overwhelming, and a lot of the questions were more clarifying questions. And so it didn't seem like she was able to get the kind of feedback she was looking for, just because there were so many questions around, so many clarifying questions. So anyway, so that's EDAC. That's all I have to report for that.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Roberts. Next one is the Library Advisory Committee. Was there a meeting? I'm hearing crickets, so no. So Planning Commission.
Okay, so Carol would normally give us a rousing presentation on planning, but I will cover some items. There have been 3 meetings since our last Parks and Community Services Commission meeting. The meeting on July 20th, they swore in 3 new planning commission, or 3 new commissioners, at least those that were reappointed and some that were new. Eric Wallace, Corey Edwards, who is new, and Gary Alpert was resworn in. So they recognized outgoing Commissioner Chair Howard Frank. They nominated a new chair, previously of the Parks Commission. Jean Kusnick is the new chair, and Gary Alpert is the new vice chair. And recognized, they recognized the outgoing Commissioner Howard Frank and the outgoing chair Eric Wallace. So that happened. They also held a conceptual review on the Primrose Daycare development and public hearing. That is, they're looking to occupy the space over where Chevy's is, and 2 suites next to it over at the Bollinger Crossings Retail Center. I guess there's been a lot of trouble getting folks to utilize that space as retail. And so that's seen as a challenge. So they did actually move to continue the public hearing. They did planning asked staff a lot of questions that they will come and answer. And So that's that. They did a very extensive, sort of like we did today, a very extensive planning commission year in review, and went through a mind-boggling number of development projects and efforts that are at various levels of approvals, many of which are at approvals or in different stages of permit use. And so if ever you're interested in all of the developments and projects that these folks have to understand and render judgment on, take a look. It's quite impressive. The August 17th meeting was when planning recommended housing advisory committee members that we discussed. There was also continued public hearing on City Village, Bishop Ranch 6, where we have talked about. They continued that to September 7th. Interesting is that they also approved adoption of a resolution for a proposed use permit for Sandbox Virtual Reality on the second floor of City Center. It is a social virtual reality gaming experience, and I think folks were generally supportive of it, and they approved the permit use. But I was really proud because a teen council member spoke up and talked about how they thought it was going to be a great thing for teens to be able to do that. And I was just so proud of the teen council that they were represented, and that person's, and I forget his name, I'm so sorry, but he spoke up, and I thought that was really cool. So that's that. And then they also discussed a development of townhomes, the TTLC townhomes over on Deerwood, which is in sort of a commercial area. And they continued that matter until September 7th, which brings me to the last meeting to report on. They did continue that discussion and did ultimately approve the project TTLC townhomes with many architectural review board recommendations. So I love the fact that we have these committees that do that work and really do due diligence. They also continued the discussion of City Village Bishop Ranch 6 to September 21st. They did get an introduction to the CEQA report with regard to that project at this meeting. They also discussed changes that would potentially be needed to the North Camino specific plan relative to the project. Very relevant to the Parks and Community Services Department is the fact that at present, the project is intended to involve Summerhill developer building the park, but turning over the park to the city for maintenance with a restroom. So that's where we stand with the status of the park at this point with regard to who builds it, who maintains it, and the fact that it's currently planned to have a restroom. So let's see. And I think that was about it. So lots of interesting stuff going on with planning. Again, if you're into planning, take a look at their meetings, because we are very fortunate to have some really smart people on that commission. That's it.
Thank you. I see we have a hand raised in our attendees for public comment, but I'd like to finish our committee reports, and we can come back and visit that when we're finished with this. Senior Citizen Advisory Committee, have we had a meeting?
Yes, so we did have a meeting last month that I attended, and really it was the only thing really to report on this meeting was that staff collaborated with outreach sponsors, which for in regards to the annual Senior Resource Fair. And there were some recommendations that came out of this, which was, offer the resource fair on a weekday, stay away from holiday weekends, consider a Friday, different food, and options for vendors to have a booth for a certain fee or for a lesser fee. So that was the discussion. And of course, as Kathy has already mentioned earlier, that the annual resource fair is going to be on September 17th from 1:30 to 4 p.m. So, which I believe is a Friday. So it looks like they sort of adhered to some of those recommendations that were made. And of course, all of this was coming from the fact that, appears to have come from the fact that, this fair was moved to a drive-through type fair last year during COVID. So they were looking to sort of reinvigorate this for this year, which looks like they've been able to do. Then this month, the Monday that we were supposed to have on Monday, this last Monday, was moved to next Monday, I believe it looks like. So.
Commissioner Roberts, are they planning to do the holiday boutique that they do each year? Do you know? Have they talked about that?
I don't know. That did not come up in the last meeting. Yeah.
I see a head nod.
It is such a sweet event.
Yeah, the holiday boutique is scheduled right now. You'll hear about it next month because it's coming up in November.
Okay, thank you.
Right. And Teen Council, Student Commissioner Thanwala. You've been busy.
Yeah, so we had our first workshop and then obviously first meeting with our workshop in the beginning of August, and it was in person. So it was very, very lovely seeing all the teen council members after 2 years, like actually in person. It was just enjoyable to see everyone, all these members that I've met only virtually online. And then since then, we've actually got a lot done. We had our ambassador application, and so we have publicized them, have gotten applications and have reviewed them and sent those applications to be approved, all within the span of just a couple weeks. It was very intense. I was on interviews because we have interviews for all 54 applicants, which is double, I think, or double or almost triple how we got last year. It was crazy. It was 4.5 hours of interviews on my end with someone else running them another. It was tiring, but I'm very happy because we have definitely have great representation from all schools from SRVSD. We had new people from Monte Vista. We've never had applicants from there before. More people from Quarry Lane. And so I'm just very excited to have a larger scope coming into this year with a energized teen council and an energized ambassador program. Right now, we are starting our Outstanding Teen Citizenship Award, which is where we recognize someone great for a teenager in this city for all they've done. And we're just working on advertising the schools similar to what we did for ambassador program. So next meeting, I'll probably be able to reveal who it was that did that. That's all for me.
All right, thank you. And you're being modest. She was very, very, very proactive in making sure that the Outstanding Teen Award nomination took place earlier than later. In the past, it's taken place further in the fall, but you got a jump start on this because of your leadership. So thank you. All right, Open Space Advisory Committee is me. They had their last meeting August 9th. We elected a new chair, although the chair remained the same. So Chair Miklos is still the chair, and Vice Chair Kalish is still the vice chair. We had a presentation on the open space and flood insurance rates. I learned a lot about how FEMA plays a part in that. And our open space is worth about 900 points to FEMA, which actually helps us San Ramon residents. And we also had a presentation given by Bob Peoples, who is a committee member on the Open Space Priority Preservation Plan update. And this is a continuation of how the Open Space Advisory Committee actually originally was founded. And he is now taking that and developing it into the future plan for what 2021 and 2022 will focus on. Looks like they're looking at the West Hills, Bollinger Canyon, and Tassajara Valley. So that's all I have for open space. Our next meeting is this coming Monday on the 13th. So given that, I think we've covered our committees, except for the Field Users Steering Committee. I believe that's quarterly. I don't know if there's been a meeting. I'm not seeing any nods, so we'll move on. And as I mentioned, I see a hand raised in public comment. We have you on mute, Christy.
Mute. Let me just bring this up.
Feel free to proceed. Please state your name.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you so much for all you do. I can hear that many of you put in a lot of your time to go to different committees and liaison, during this meeting and updating everyone. I really appreciate your time. I noticed that you didn't have a liaison for the Innovation and Technology Committee. I really highly recommend that you attend that committee because you just mentioned that you guys are piloting a tennis app, which I believe would be of interest to liaise with the Technology Committee because I can foresee some abusive possibility with the app if we are not careful. Meaning, if somebody who wants to play mischief, they can totally just, take up all the spaces and on the app and make you think that it is full, but it is not, or vice versa. The fiber optic infrastructure, I think, also shares the same pet peeve I just mentioned about the app is, how can we prevent people from hacking us? With the pipeline and the meat plant, I'm really afraid that once all of our PD cameras and the traffic signals are all in sync with each other and somebody figures out how to desync us or, hack us from a different country, what are we going to do? So those are the things that come with, becoming 5G or extremely high tech. About Zoom meetings, I really think that it's a fake public meeting. For example, you guys always ask, oh, if you're this person, raise your hand. Well, if I'm pretending to be you, I'm not going to fail to raise my hand and make you believe that I'm who I am, who I say I am, but I'm not really who I am. I think eventually technology will catch up with you guys and that someday you might discover that all along you're having a meeting with a hologram. I really advise that or recommend that we go back to public meeting into real life as soon as possible. With that, I thank you for all of your time spent helping our city. Thank you.
Thank you. And would you mind stating your name? I did not hear that.
Oh, yes. This is the same person, Helen of Doherty Valley.
Thank you for your public comment. I'll close public comment. All right. Item 12, commission member items. Anyone have any items that they'd like to put forward to the commission? I'm just going to put a plug in for the Oktoberfest. I know Carol's probably looking for some volunteers, so if you want to volunteer, feel free to give her an email or a call. I'm going to be volunteering and doing registration for the event and got my cute little outfit for it. So.
And I'm going to be putting together the USA booth at the Culture in the Community celebration. And so if anybody wants to work the USA booth, let me know. I would love to have you there.
Thank you. Any other commission member items? I'll take that as a no. Item 13, meeting adjournment. My clock says 9:10. Thank you all for attending our meeting on September 8th, 2021. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you.